Okay, we're going to look at different value patterns. I'm going to use colored pencils for this. So I started by making a value scale in colored pencils. So I have, these are the colored pencils I'm using. I just have 5. I have a white, a light gray, a darker gray, a darker gray, and a black. Um, so I made this by mixing some of the colored pencils. This is all colored pencil here. So chiaroscuro is not the only value pattern that artists use. So sometimes, let me just focus this. Sometimes they use different value patterns to get different moods or to create different feelings or looks in their artwork. So we're going to go over all of them here in colored pencil. I made some shapes and I'm using a photo for reference. So the first one is high key value. So that's going from light to dark, but you're just using, you can either use, that's basically the light part of the value scale. So some people will go from 1 to 5, some people will go from 1 to 4, some people will go from 1 to 3. It has a light, airy mood to it. So I'm going to do this sphere in high key value. Um, Mostly you're going to see someone using all of the value scale, but just sometimes they artists don't want to. And this can transfer over into color, which is something that we'll talk about later. But if you're just using colors that are of a light value pattern, then it would still be a high key drawing or painting. So I'm going to have my highlight be about right here. I want to leave some of the paper white. And I'm going to go with this light gray. I'm not pressing hard at first around here. And the colored pencils are pretty different than the regular pencil, which is graphite. I'm starting out pressing soft and I'll press hard later. So I'm just getting some light gray in there. Okay, and then I'm going to get a little bit of a darker gray colored pencil. I'm going to press harder. I just want to start out this way. But remember, I'm not going to go into these values over here because this is going to be a high key value drawing. Some people do whole drawings like this, portraits. So I want to keep it light. And people have different reasons for doing that. Sometimes it's to create a light mood, and it can be for other reasons as well. I'm going to do another layer. Again, this is my first layer. And for my cast shadow, I'm going to go here. So this is kind of the darkest value I'm using. This may not be perfect, but as long as you understand the concept, this may be a little too dark here. I have trouble just doing it with these 3, so I'm usually kind of going around here. But people do it in different ways. When it's just the top 3, it just seems really, really light. So again, this is the cast shadow. Okay. So now I'm going to go back to this and I'm going to press a little bit harder. But remember, like I'm automatically feeling I need to put some black in here, right? But a medium gray is the black, is equivalent to a black in a high key value drawing. So it goes against your intuition. Okay. And you can also use the white colored pencil. I'll show you that in a minute. So I'm just using the light gray here. Again, this if I divide it in half here, this part is in direct light and this part is indirect light. This is the highlight. So I'm going to use my white colored pencil. And the white colored pencil is actually pretty cool because you can blend it out. If you haven't pressed too hard with the color next to it, you can blend it out. And it will, since I left, like, I wasn't pressing hard and I left some white in between, I didn't press too hard, the white will go in there and kind of blend with the gray that I had put there. So it's pretty cool. The colored pencil it's blending much more easily than the graphite. Okay. So now I'm going to go to this gray and I want to make this, I see too much white showing through. And I'm going to get my lighter gray as well for this area. And if I want to lighten it, again, I can use white. I'm bringing this kind of medium to light gray around the edge as the dark. And then I'm going to go in here with a darker colored pencil. It's kind of a medium gray, but it's the dark in this one. And I don't have reflected light on this shape. I'm going to blend a little bit more with this lighter gray where they meet. And then I'm going to go into the cast shadow because it's too light with this. I used a darker gray to start the cast shadow. So I'm putting this gray on it and it's going to blend in with the darker gray. So it's going to seem a little bit darker, which is what I want. I don't want it to seem too dark. Kind of just left a little white there to show the differentiation, which you wouldn't see a white line there in real life, but and I'm going to leave it like that. So that's a high key value pattern. And here we're going to do low key value. So low key value would be like here, or some people would go here, or you could choose 1, 2, and 3, but it's on the darker side of the value scale. In terms of mood, it has a gloomy, dark mood to it when people do low key value drawings. Again, the low key can transfer into color. So I'm going to use probably these 3 pencils. Okay. And again, it's kind of when you first try it, it seems kind of against your, it goes against your intuition because you're going to want to put a light gray and a white in there, but you want to keep it low key. So it's just a practice. So this is the darkest part. So I just used a black colored pencil. Now, the surface of a cube is, it's not as blended as the sphere because the sphere is round. So these are flat surfaces. So the light is hitting it in a bit of a different way. So this is going to be the light, the medium, and the dark surface. Yet there is some variation on that. So I'm going to go into this surface. I'm going to add black to it, but I'm going to start out with the darkest gray I have. And I'm going to block that in. And then this is going to be a bit of a lighter gray surface. So I'm going to go in with my middle gray. I'm going to add to this. I only have 3 gray colored pencils. I wish I had more. You can also mix in graphite with this. Like I mix the black colored pencil into the graphite pencil work if you want. If you don't have a gray that you like, you can use a graphite. It just has a little bit of a different look to it. And then I'm going to go here. This is I'm going to darken these surfaces. Okay. That's the lightest surface. So I'm going to go with my black to this surface because this is the darkest surface. I just want to, the gray is under the black because I wanted to let some of the gray show through. So now I'm going to go along the edges. It's dark along the edges and then it's kind of lighter in the middle and then dark along the edges. And I don't want this to look like a chunk of a dark and then a chunk of gray. I want it to blend, but it's not as much blending as the sphere. Then I'm going to come back in here because I'm seeing some white through this gray. I'm going to bring the gray into the black. I'm going to bring some of the gray into this shadow as well. And I still feel like there's too much white showing through. So I'm coming in and darkening it. Okay. Now I'm looking at this surface and I'm using my dark gray. I may add black. Okay. It gets light here on this surface, but okay, so I'm going to go to this and I'm just trying to take out some of that white. Now, I may add some black to this. I'm going to go up here with this value. This may still be too light. And come to this edge and bring this down. Okay. And that's pretty dark. I want it to be darker than usual because it's a low key value. So I'm going to add some black right here. Remember, you can always darken something, but it's pretty hard to lighten something. So you want to go lighter at first and then darken in any kind of drawing. It's really hard to lighten something that you've already darkened. Do I want black up here? I'm just talking to myself, thinking maybe, yes. I'm not pressing that hard. And I'm going to get my darker gray and come on in here. This is probably too light for a low key value, so I'm putting in a dark here. Okay, and I'm going to leave it at that. It's not perfect, but as long as you understand the concept, that's low key value. Now, this one is middle key value. So middle key value would be working in the middle. Some people will just do these 3, 5, 6, and 7. Some people will go 3 to 8. You could also do 3. I'm sorry. Yeah, 3 to 8. You could also do like 3, 5, and 7. But in the middle, so you're taking out the real lights and the really dark values. Okay. I'm just using a pencil for a second because I feel like I need to just curve this edge a little bit. Okay, so here's my cone. And I'm going to do it in middle key value. I'm just using a picture of some objects and the cone. So I want to use like kind of 2 middle value grays. So I have these 2 grays and I'm thinking which 2 do I want to use? I could probably use all 3 actually. But I don't want to go into the blacks or the whites or the really dark grays or the really light grays. So for the dark side of this, I'm just going to put in stripes for right now. So this is my darkest gray and then I'll blend. Then I'm going to go to my middle gray right here. I'm not pressing hard yet, but I will press harder in a minute. Just trying to block it in. Layer 1 and light. Okay. I'm going to block in my shadow with the darkest gray. And remember, I might try to use some graphite in this. You can use graphite as well if you don't have a gray that you feel like you need. Okay. Now, I need to just define this a little bit more. So I'm going to the light side. I'm pressing a little bit harder. There's a little bit of a highlight like right here. So I'm going to use the white. I know I'm not supposed to be using white, but it's white on top of gray. Okay, I'm just making this darker so it's not, the paper is not showing through. Some people like the paper showing through. It's a personal preference. And then I'm going to go to the middle. And the darker gray over here. And in the cast shadow. Now I'm going to get my 6B pencil. Which I just wanted a darker gray, but not really like, this may be too dark for a middle key value, but I just want to define. It's a little bit of a different gray than the grays with the colored pencil, but that's okay. You can combine as well. I just wanted to let you know that. So just kind of darkening this area. I'm trying not to press hard right here. This is kind of an outline. But it's not going, like I didn't want to use the black colored pencil. I wanted to use something else. So I just used a regular pencil, which is, you're never going to get a black with a regular pencil. You're going to get like a dark, you can get a really dark gray. And then I'm going to put some of it into the cast shadow. And I'm going to bring this kind of into here because these two grays look kind of similar. And that's not perfect again, but at least you understand the concept. That's middle key value. Tenebrism, which is high contrast, meaning that you're using like 1, 2, and 3, and 8, 9, and 10. So you're using the lights and the dark. So it's like taking everything out from what you used in the middle key value. A drawing in high contrast will seem dramatic. So that's what people use it for. Again, it can be used in color. So I'm going to get the dark gray and the black for the bottom part and the light gray for the top part. So it seems dramatic, like when someone does a portrait and with tenebrism, you can really see the person's emotions in the portrait. So I'm gonna start by just doing gray on this area, and then I'm gonna come in with black. Just kind of getting it a little bit darker. This paper is, it has ridges on it. And so you can kind of see, unless you press really hard, it's hard to get rid of the white area. There's some paper that's totally smooth. This paper is called rough. I'll do another video going over papers, but this is a rough paper. You can add more stuff on rough paper, charcoal pencil, colored pencil, charcoal pencils. So it's just built to hold more, to layer more, and that's why I usually use rough paper. So I'm bringing down the dark areas. I'm going to come back to that. I'm going to put in the dark gray for the cast shadow. And then I'm using some black in here. Again, this is the darkest part of the drawing. Usually. Whoops. I'm leaving a little light here because it's black right here. And then on the top, I'm using my light gray. So I'm trying to skip the middle values in this. You'll probably be often sharpening your pencils while you're doing this. So I'm using white right here. And I'm going darker right here. Okay. And let me go back to my dark gray and kind of, this pencil needs to be sharpened. Try to get some of that white out of there. Okay, so that's, I don't want to make this video too long, so I'm not perfecting it like so much that I would usually do and spend like lots of time on each part. So you can spend more time on them if you want. I just want you to get the idea and hopefully practice. And again, we saw this in pencil, but I wanted to do one in colored pencil. So this sphere is going to be in chiaroscuro, which is the normal way people are, the normal value pattern that people are using, which is going from 1 to 10 and blending. So I'm going for the light gray now. So I'm doing this sphere and I'm copying it right here. It may turn out different, but this one doesn't have the darks. So basically I'm doing this with the darks, and you should definitely practice all the value patterns, and especially to see if you can pull them off, but also to see what you like and don't like in a drawing. Like, do you like a high key value drawing? Do you like a low key value drawing? Do you like a tenebrism drawing? Do you like a middle key value drawing? So I'm just getting the dark area down here. I'm pressing lighter right here because I know I'm going to blend. And I'm coming up here. I'm going to make the highlight about right here with a light gray.